walked in a little, some few minutes after 12. So he walked in late, and also he was in the though it was a closed door meeting, but he stayed in the room for quite around 10 to 15 minutes. Then he walked out. When he walked out, you could see some smiles, you could see some kind of expression on his face because he's been able to resolve the problem. This was a big problem for him because he being the education minister. He called a meeting. Also, Sunday he called the leadership of CETAG into a meeting. They declined to attend the meeting, that they were engaged in something else. So yesterday's meeting at the behest of the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, where the Minister of Education was present, was also good news. And let's not forget that yesterday's meeting too, there were some interventions from the office of the President and also the office of the Vice President, speaking to the leadership of CETAG for them to consider yesterday's meeting. That also compelled the Minister of Education to also be present. And based on the commitment that they had, especially with regard to the money to be paid, because all the issues raised by CETAG, all the issues got down on money. And obviously, the Minister of Finance was also in the meeting. So when you look at the computations, you realize that government is ready to release those money to get the members of CETAG paid. That made the Minister of Education very happy. That, in fact, he's extremely happy that he's hoping that they will continue to strengthen the relationship, that they will not get to a stage where CETAG may have to call another strike before they get their issues resolved.
And the CETAG people usually would get Labour to say that, oh, we will have to go back to our constituents to go and ask them and discuss with them before we call off the strike. Did that happen, or is that going to happen at all?
Right. In fact, that really, really happened yesterday. After the meeting, the Minister of Education and possibly the other key stakeholders were expecting CETAG to call off. But you know, in labor relations, when you are given a mandate to lead people, obviously they have to go back and report back to them. So CETAG says that they may have to go back and report to their members, and that's report to their constituents. And they decided to do those consultations last night, and I think they'll continue this morning too as well. They said they are having their council meeting, and when you're having a council meeting, you have all colleges present at the council meeting. They'll consider the proposals of government, and hopefully they'll call up. But the indication I have is that they call up today, because yesterday's meeting was led by a trustee of CETAG. And once you are being led by a trustee, obviously, you report some level of confidence in that person. So the trustees will report back to council, then council will take a decision by close of day today. CETAG to call on the side and resume work.
See, well, Danny, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
Thank you very much, Danny.
And that's Daniel Opoku. Danny, before you go though, I do understand that some members of CLOSAC who have been seconded to TVET institutions have some issues that they're raising. Quickly, share with us some thoughts if you have any information on that.
Right. So, when we look at within CLOSAC, there's a branch of CLOSAC that works at the community level, and they teach at various community level, and they are members of CETAG. So some of them teach and others don't. All of them are members of CLOSAC. But the problem now is that they are being seconded to TVET. TVET is just an Ghana Education Service. It is on its own now. It's an independent agency under the Ghana Education Service. That the fear of those people is the fact that when they are transferred or seconded to the payroll of TVET, they are going to pay from there. And their contributions that they have done to the first year, the second year, the voluntary contribution that they have done to the CLOSAC, obviously they believe that they are going to be affected. And currently there are some level of agitations among them where they are resisting their migration onto TVET, and that has been a problem. I do recall some years back when I spoke with Mr. Zigbampad, he told me that he's still considering, they are still monitoring the system now. So this year I'll try and engage him as to what has been the level of commitment, because already some have been migrated, and that is really creating problem. When you are migrated, you are taking off the payroll of the Ghana Education Service. Then you go out to TVET, something that are going to start afresh, and that really is a major problem for them. Agitations are rising nationwide, and if they don't come in early to resolve the problem, hopefully from next week is going to really, really affect community development across the country.
And have they raised these issues with CLOSAC yet?
Some of them have. In fact, they have. But the problem has to do with they don't have any strong leadership, because they all draw their powers from the leadership of CLOSAC. These are members within a communities who are raising this problem. They are trying to put themselves together.
Right.
But before they're able to put themselves together, then means that CrossTag must step in. So CrossTag is very much aware of these concerns that they have raised, and we're engaging the executive secretary to find out how he's trying to resolve this problem. But this is really going to face a lot of problems for him if he doesn't deal with it carefully.
Thank you, Daniel Opoku. We're grateful for your time. Thank you so much indeed. And that's Daniel Opoku right there, sharing with us what the detail is. So we know that by close of day, hopefully, CETAG will call off the strike. Let's go on the phone line now. Speak to Abdul Razak. He's the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. Abdul Razak, assalamu alaikum.
Yes, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Great. Now, CETAG is to call off the strike because yesterday they came into some agreement with the Minister for Labour and Employment and Labour Relations and Pensions, and also the Education Minister. First of all, how does that sound to you?
Well, it sounds relieving to get an atmosphere that the strike might be likely to be called off. That is something we've been eagerly waiting for, because since the strike began, we have been saying that at all costs there has to be some compromise, and that has to be done. The students should our teachers be back to the classroom as soon as possible for academic work to begin. So for us to hear the news as yesterday that CETAG has entered into an agreement again with Ministry for Labour and Employment Relations for them to be meeting today to call off the strike. It's something that we have been yelling for.
Now, the strike will be called off if all things go well. I want to understand how you people as teacher trainees survived during this 7-week, if that's correct, strike.
Yeah, the strike is 8 weeks and almost heading for the ninth week.
That's correct. Okay.
But to us as students, it hasn't been easy. The situation has been different from all our 46 various campuses. Students have really suffered because we reported to school on June 9th, and then we have been at posts, even though some students have left their various homes. Level 400 students have equally have to commit themselves to rental agreements. Some or most level 200 students, their rents have even expired. And then we are at this point that the strike is about to be called off, and academic calendar seems to be the topic for discussion as to whether it will be remedy or it will just restart afresh. But either way, the student is going to suffer much, because most students, level 400 students, their rent has expired. Other students in level 100 to level 200 have actually also depleted their little resources that they are having, putting more burden and pressure on their parents and then themselves, because they will need to
find extra sourcing somewhere in order to be able to sustain. That is, if there is going to be an extension or if the semester is going to start afresh. Either way, the student will still have to suffer. So, over time, students have really been having a hard time, and then the economic challenges that students have had to go through as a result of this strike alone is something that is very devastating, let alone the academic stress.
How much did you suffer in terms of rent, feeding, transport, etc.?
Yeah, when you come to rent is more specific with level 400 students, and the situation differs because if you come to Accra, just Accra College of Education, students who have to rent within the vicinity of UPSA and then that surrounding will be paying like 30,000 to afford a rent in order to be able to stay within that semester, and then these rents are about to expire, and meaning they would have to renew their rent again. Come to the likes of Tamale, where you would have to rent a room worth of 2,000 Ghana cedis in order to be able to stay to complete the semester. You would also be forced or compelled to top up. The situation is not different. Go to Volta, Cape Coast, colleges scattered around the country. So it's really worrying. When it comes to food, it hasn't been easy because having to fend for yourself, and then the little resources your parents are having, they would have to channel it to you, even though academic activities is not going. About 400 students have actually been engaging in their project activities. Just alone too have been left unsupervised because our teachers said they are on strike. And then you are quite aware it is at this level that we learn the in and out of a project work. And then when you are going to study your master's or do your master's,
right,
you will find it easy with yourself. But this is the time that we found ourselves that the project work, there have been no supervision on the work because our teacher says they are on strike, and then you will have to stay in at your own expense, and then just find resources whilst academic activity is not going, and then you are not really certain as to whether you should go home. That's why some students have had to stay because you might just go home, then the next day the strike is being called off. We really didn't have a clear information as to when the strike. Even as it stands now, we only anticipate that the decision of CETAG will really truly represent our hopes, and the strike will be called off. Because right now we still don't even have a clear date the strike will call off. And when you come to level 100 to level 200,
3FM
hearing most of the time that the colleges of education are feeding on 50 pesos.
Right.
They had to pay 50 pesos from the students, or making it 8 cedis. That is for it to be fed. For the 8 cedis, the principals are even complaining that the 8 cedis didn't reflect in their accounts. They still have 50 pesos. And that whole conversation, some colleges, specific, some colleges like St. John Bosco College of Education in Avrango, Abetiti Presbyterian College in Eastern Region,
right,
and then some other colleges within the Western Region. The principal have been complaining. Some have to resort to even feeding 2 times a day instead of the 3 times. And then some would lament that there is no food. They entered into debt with their people. Yes, so these students have been staying on campus. There's no academic work ongoing. That's why we were pushing for, if there's no academic ongoing, that we should save this particular kind of food so that the students will go home. When there is an extension, government doesn't come later on and says that they cannot afford for the feeding, but you could have reserved some food, and then the food will be feed subsequently. Only a few principals have been able to maintain the feeding as normal as it is, because most of the colleges, I would say, or the quantity of the food, they will just serve you also one ladle. A student is staying in the school, and then you are serving the student beans. The beans is not even a proper bean, and then you serve the student only one ladle with no gari. So this is what the students have been going through. And it hasn't been easy. The quantity and quality are equally deteriorated because you can bear with me a meal a daily meal that is morning, afternoon, evening of 50%. It's not something that has been helpful, and the students have really been suffering in the colleges.
Great. Razak, you have to hold your horses there. We've been joined on the phone line by Professor Ahmed Jinapo. He's the Deputy Director General at CETAG. Prof, thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Good to have you, Prof. Prof, now, so hopefully, all things being equal, and I'm sure with your intervention as well, we'll have the teachers return to their students to teach them. First of all, what are your initial comments?
Well, I think, first of all, I would say it's unfortunate that we got to this level. The issues that the teachers put on the table were issues that were resolvable, and as part of the government team, we have always indicated our commitment in ensuring that their grievances are resolved. Be it as it may, we are where we are now. I think it's a lesson to all of us that at the end of the day, in all of this business, it boils down to discourse and dialogue. Fortunately for us, there seems to be some revolution in terms of the status and conditions of faculty and staff of the colleges of education. They are being migrated apart with their colleagues at the traditional universities.
Okay.
The nomenclature that is going to be used to describe them is no more going to be tutor, but is going to start with lecturer. And in terms of their condition of service, they are going to be put on the same scale as their affiliate universities. I keep on saying that in this our business, at the end of the day, the integrity of the profession that we happen to be in is informed by our output. So I don't think it should just be a simplistic description of being called a lecturer, senior lecturer, professor, or associate professor, but we should be able to demonstrate same.
Right.
So we hope that will cascade into the quality of teaching that goes on in the classroom and the quality of teachers that we chain out.
But Prof, that classification falls directly on the lap of CETAG, doesn't it?
Yes.
And what work has gone into it in terms of trying to do this migration and to change the nomenclature and to make sure that the quality, as Abdul Razak has said, is not watered down?
Yes, so it will interest you to know that everybody who performs the task of teaching is a teacher. In fact, even at the university, we are university teachers. It's just that there is this categorization that distinguishes us from the other categories of teachers. That is why we are called lecturers, professors, and all those nomenclature that we are used to. When you go to somewhere like the United States, the title lecturer is quite alien. In fact, the only time that you are called a doctor is when you get to the position of associate professor. Mostly you are called by your first name, and it's only in Ghana that we more or less we seem to be very used to titles. But that's notwithstanding, as I indicated, the title that you attain must be commensurate with the output in terms of being professorial. So if you are called professor, it's not just being called professor, but are you able to demonstrate your professorship? And that is where, for us as a commission, we are interested in more or less giving the lecturers at the colleges of education the needed ingredients and materials for them to be able to perfect what they are doing and do it best. So as I indicated, unfortunate as the history of this whole engagement is, I think it provides us an opportunity for us to see how we can rekindle the needed materials that will equip the faculty, staff, and even the students at the colleges of education so that they do what they are doing best. Because, mind you, the colleges of education system is something that is unique to Ghana. You go to most of the countries, they don't have that kind of architecture as being part of the total educational or tertiary educational space. So it's something that is unique. It's something that we must be proud of, and it's something that we must enhance. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to start from somewhere. But as I keep on saying, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Great.
Now, the faculty and staff of the Colleges of Education are going to be treated as their counterparts at the traditional universities. We are going to use the tenure track. The tenure track simply says that you need to justify your inclusion.
Right.
And justify your inclusion means that you maintain your position or rank informed by what you put in.
Right.
In fact,
your research and publications, etc.
Research and publications.
And extended services.
How it contributes to the developmental aspirations of our nation.
Right.
So it's a good thing that we are doing. But as I always say, this is an opportunity for us to perfect whatever we are looking for from our colleagues from the faculty.
I see. Let me ask the president of the Teacher Trainees Association what he thinks of this. So, Swale, your teachers, as Prof has told us, they're all teachers. It's just the titles that differentiate them. They are asking for this, and it's one of the reasons they went on strike. Now they are going to get it, but then they have to put in the work. For you, as president of all the trainees in the country, how does this sound to you?
Well, to our end, what our teachers are demanding, although they were awarded by the National Labour Commission for implementation, what we just wish our teachers would meet, or government will meet all the demands of our teachers. Our teachers will back to the classroom, and then talking about quality, and then talking about our teachers being referred to as lecturers. Definitely, like what Prof is saying, the quality would have to reflect, and then if there happens to be maybe what they are putting into channeling us as out to be teachers, and the quality will reflect on us as teacher trainees. It is something we are happy. It is something that will come, and then it will help the college system, and it's something that will turn us out to be well-round teachers and also better teachers in the at the national front. So it's something we will embrace, and we are willing to embrace and then become better teachers.
Great. Prof, so what happens to the calendar? I mean, 8 weeks going into 9 weeks thrown out of gear. Are we overwriting?
Okay. We are going to look at it, adjust it to accommodate the lost time.
Okay.
As you are aware, they should have gone on holidays, I think, somewhere at the end of next month. We are going to absorb that. And if it becomes necessary for them to do more work during the mixed period, I think we are going to take care of that. But I think I want to use this opportunity to clarify a misconception that seems to be out there.
What is it?
There's going to be an automatic relativity in terms of the ranks at the colleges and at the universities. For instance, if somebody happens to be a chief tutor currently, which is the highest rank at the college, the person automatically becomes a professor. No, it's not going to be that way.
What is going to happen?
The migration process is looking at relativity in terms of what is expected of you at your affiliate university. So, what does it take to be a professor at University of Cape Coast? And does that translate to what it is at an affiliate college of education? So if you take University of Ghana, what does it take for you to become a full professor at University of Ghana? And does a faculty at Accra College of Education, which is affiliated to University of Ghana, have same? If you do, automatically you are what? Migrated. But if you don't, then you are placed at where you are supposed to be relative to what the scheme of service is.
I see.
At University of Ghana.
But then that means that their remuneration and other perks will also be affected. Is that correct?
Exactly. So it goes with your condition of service. So what the condition of service is for a professor at Legon is going to be transferred to a professor at Accra College of Education, being the affiliate institution.
But so then if they have to put in the same quality and quantity and length of work to be commensurate with what happens in the traditional universities, then somebody would argue that, well, then their chief tutors should also be getting the same nomenclature and titles and perks and everything else.
Exactly. That is what we've done. So because they are expected to do the same as the traditional universities, the nomenclature, which is tutor, senior tutor, principal tutor, and chief tutor, is going to change. We are no more going to use those nomenclatures. But as I indicated, because they are now going to be called lecturers, senior lecturers, associate professors, and professors, the scheme for getting to that level is going to be tied to their affiliate universities and under the supervision of the affiliate universities. So currently, what does it take for you to become a head of department at University of Ghana? Same is going to be applied to head of department at Accra College of Education. The business of people being placed on those levels without qualification is going to change. But as I indicated, in all of this, our interest is to ensure that there's perfection in the product, which is the final student. So at the end of the day, even though you're at Accra College of Education, you shouldn't be treated differently from your colleague who's at the University of Ghana, because the faculty and staff who are more or less teaching you are going to be of the same caliber in your individual colleges of education.
I see. Prof, I want to thank you indeed for your time this morning. And Swale, thank you also for your time this morning. We're grateful that you gentlemen could join us. Grateful as well. And that was Professor Ahmed Jenapot, Deputy Director General of CETAG, and Abdul Razak Swale is the President of the Teacher Trainees Association of the Republic of Ghana. Helen is an associate member of the Teacher Trainees Association of the Republic of Ghana.
I might as well be, because whenever you're imparting knowledge, you're a bit of a teacher, aren't you? And that's what we do here each and every morning. We go and do our research, we come and we present it to the people.
How come you haven't gone on strike before?
Oh, it's coming. Wait for me. Don't push me. I'll go myself.
It's coming down.
It's coming down. But to think that this strike actually started June 14, and as at now today, what is the date? 20th or yes, we finally appear to have a resolution. I think you asked whether or not the money has actually hit the account, because that is the next hurdle, Johnny. That money actually hits the account.
It will come.
Because CETAG means business. They did not relent even when GTEC was asked to withhold their earnings. But it appears now from that conversation, a very lovely conversation, very peaceful. Everything appears to have been resolved. But you and I, Johnny, we're here. Today is what? 20th August.
Well, the thing is that if you don't ask for what you deserve, if you settle for less than what you deserve, you actually get less than what you bargained for. If you settle for less than what you deserve, you get less than what you bargained for. So as for the money, it must come down.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.